Paulie Malignaggi claims that Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder from Tuscaloosa, Alabama is either going to look crazy or brilliant after the third Fury fight. And he says that he believes Wilder will go out on his shield, but he doesn't all the way agree with Wilder's methods and the Mark Breland, how he was treated, all that stuff. We're going to talk about all that and more in this particular video. So pack your bags, stay tuned. Should be a great one. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you love content like this, I'm dropping daily content. I go live, give you guys information on the fighters' weight, check in when they have a big fight, let you know the latest and greatest news clippings, give you thoughts pre and post fight, and much more on the channel. So if you like that thing, all things boxing, this is your one-stop boxing shop. Do yourself a favor and smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel as well. Now, Paulie Malignaggi did a recent interview, and I'm gonna just jump right into his quotes. He says Wilder is gonna come off looking crazy if he gets destroyed, or he'll come out looking brilliant. When you're one step ahead of people, you look smart. If you're two steps ahead, you look insane, right? He goes on to say, if I had to not get Fury versus AJ and I had to get some semifinals towards Fury and AJ, it's not so bad. I really feel like Deontay Wilder is in denial, but at the same time, I love his self-belief, if that makes any sense. I don't necessarily agree with him, but I can't fault a fighter for having an ultra self-belief that he has. It's not his fault, and that he really believes he could beat this guy, as bordering on the ridiculous, even if I agree with that. What I can't disagree is the self-belief of a champion. Deontay Wilder has that championship self-belief, and I really believe that he's going to go out on his shield. He's not going to want to be stopped. I don't agree with how he treated his trainer and coach, Mark Breland, after his last fight, but at the same time, he lives it. Deontay he doesn't just speak it, he lives it. You got to give the guy credit for that, even if I disagree with the way he goes about things. I do believe Fury still beat him. I think Fury beats him. And I think Joshua is still favored over Usyk. Usyk is a little undersized, but Usyk is still a crafty guy, an Olympic gold medalist, and former cruiserweight unified champion. He's going to be a crafty, undersized heavyweight that can cause some problems for AJ as well. In the end, if I had to pick, I think we still get Fury AJ. But if they come off wins like this over two quality guys, I think it would build up even more anticipation for the Fury AJ fight, as long as it happens in the next 6 months after these couple of fights. We don't want it to marinate too much. As long as it happens within 6 months of these two fights, I think it builds up more expectations and people will really look forward to it. Now, the thing I said a long time ago on the channel, and this is what Paulie Malignaggi, the part that he said that I actually agree with. If Fury and AJ fans, they kept approaching the situation and saying Wilder ruined it, and Wilder ruined the Undisputed and he's blocking the Undisputed. But if they had the faith that Fury is who he is, then you should think that you should be picking Fury, right, to beat Wilder. And same thing for Anthony Joshua, because Usyk hasn't particularly looked great. So I never really understood that, unless there was what I say all the time on the channel, fear. The reason people don't like Wilder winning the arbitration is fear, because no matter if they mention it publicly or do interviews and feel comfortable in their own skin suggesting it, Wilder is a huge danger to Tyson Fury. People do these interviews like Paulie Malignaggi just did and make it sound like Wilder has no shot and he's going to be crazy or brilliant, depending on the outcome. But you see people hedging their bet. I seen a recent interview with Teofimo Lopez's dad, kind of said the same thing. People keep hedging their bet. Teofimo Lopez Sr. just did an interview at his son's media day, And Teofimo Sr. said something to the effect of, I think the third fight plays out like the second fight, and Fury's going to beat him and be too much for him. But then he goes on in that same interview, it's all on camera, you can find it on YouTube, and he says, but Wilder's right hand, and Wilder's a dog, and he's a beast, and boom, boom, boom. So once again, I've noticed this. For whatever reason, I don't understand what it is with Deontay Wilder particularly. Like, Wilder's a cool dude. He's a true champion. But I feel like people's energy is off when it comes to Deontay Wilder. Like, they don't respect his ability. They think he's just all power, whatever the case is. But Wilder is a true savage because he always keeps going up against this. Like, people want to hedge their bet, and it's just, I can't wait. I can't wait for the Fury versus Wilder part 3, because there's a lot of talk, and this will end the talk. To me, people can say whatever they want, but I was at Wilder Fury part 1. Everybody in that damn arena thought it was over in the 12th round. This dude, he was in the media section with me, right? A credential media, and he threw his pen on the table like sheesh, because he obviously was a Fury fan and wanted Fury to win. And I remember that moment because he just threw his pen on the table when Fury got knocked out unconscious and hit the deck like that. And we all thought it was just over. That's why I was like some movie stuff when Fury popped back up. But he thought it was over. He started rolling his eyes and getting ready to throw a tantrum, angry that Deontay Wilder was able to stop Tyson Fury, right? Fury somehow pops up. I think he might have been on some kind of stimulant because that was just weird. But regardless, he popped up. The fight left on that note. So when I hear people like Paulie Malignaggi giving their 2 cents about the fight, I'm like, why does everybody omit the fact that Fury, he was supposed to be doing a masterclass boxing demonstration or display, but everybody, when they talk about Fury and Wilder, they just say Fury won, Fury, like they act like the knockdowns didn't take place, or you know what I'm saying, like that wasn't part of the conversation. And I think that has to be a big part of the conversation. I think Wilder is focused. He looks like he's in amazing shape, and he's looking for blood. He's looking for retribution. The other good thing that I like about this fight, Wilder Fury 3, is he got rid of the loose ends and the people who went against his wishes. He said, let me go out on my shield. So Wilder now doesn't have to worry about that. I'm sure everybody has had a stern talking to, and they've been advised, like, we warriors, we gladiators, me and Fury are going to battle this one out to like doghouse rules, basically, and let it play out how it plays out. So now we don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about somebody prematurely stopping it or any kind of type of controversy like that. But I feel like Paulie Malignaggi, too, just like Teofimo Sr., is hedging his bet. And I think there's a lot of people that are putting a lot of faith into Fury for whatever reason. So we'll see. I can't wait. I can't wait till they make it official and announce the fight. But I'm not seeing what a lot of people see. I think Fury, if you look at his fight with Wilder, the first fight, even in the second fight, Wilder was tagging him. It was just after his ear started bleeding and seemingly his equilibrium went, and he just seemed off from that, and that's boxing. Sometimes that doesn't happen. Another thing no one will talk about except for me and a few other people is Tyson Fury's glove. How his glove looked. We can ignore it or try to ignore it, but that's an actual thing. Bro, he came out in a robe where his robe was longer than the sleeves on the robe were longer than the gloves. And then Wilder has accused him of creating some kind of dents in his head, and he believes he used some type of object. This is something you have to consider. Like, if this was a court case, you couldn't just overlook that fact. So it's just funny, people in boxing, despite knowing it, I guess they pick a side and choose if they believe it or not. And if they don't believe it, they just take it out of consideration and say, oh, Wilder was making excuses. So we'll see, because to me, this is vindication. If Fury doesn't fight, like if he fights like he fought in the first fight, as opposed to in the second fight, to me, that's vindication and more more evidence, more circumstantial evidence that he cheated. Because if you had, why would you ever revert back to how you fought in the first fight if you had, quote unquote, so much success in the second fight? So if Fury doesn't try to fight him the same way, it's cap. That's how I'm looking at it. If he doesn't fight, like if you fought a guy 2 times and in one particular way had a night and day difference, and that's what I don't think enough people are paying attention to. Why did the first fight, and they were spaced out, Fury was wearing different gloves, had different teams. None of this is suspicious to anybody, right? But the first fight looked a certain way. Wilder never seemed visibly hurt or rocked by Fury. He also said in the build-up for the second fight, Fury was pillow-fisted. And then in the second fight, Fury comes out like Rambo, and Wilder's face looks lumped up like Emmett Till, and his ear is bleeding. But to nobody else, that doesn't look crazy. Meanwhile, his face was looking disheveled and disfigured when he fought Otto Wallin in his fight before Wilder. But once again, boxing refuses to look at the obvious. I also think Paulie Malignaggi is doing way too much, and I see why Showtime had to get rid of him. It's like Showtime, Paulie used to be somebody that I really respected for his commentary, but over the years it fell off, and it's like certain fighters, he seemed like he was always against them, and a lot of them were black punchers, like Gervonta, like Charlo, like Wilder. Like if you watched the Wilder Brazil when he was still a part of the Showtime telecast, Paulie Malignaggi was saying something like, guys, got credit to Brazil, oh! And then right after, as he's giving credit to Brazil, Brazil gets knocked out brutally by Wilder. And it seems like, I don't know if it was because Paulie wasn't known for like devastating punching power in his career, if he's envious of punchers like Tank, but he just seemed very critical in like Gamboa fight for Tank and Wilder Brazil and Wilder Fury, stuff like that. And even Charlo, I've seen it, you know? And it's like, what are you looking for? But then you act like Fury's this boxing messiah. Very weird stuff. The other thing is, I think people, including Paulie Malignaggi, are doing way too much. What Wilder is doing should be appreciated. Okay, first of all, to get punched in the face for a living, a lot of people would look at you like you're crazy. If you look at fights like with Gabe Rosado or Fernando Vargas, when they had nasty, gruesome injuries and kept fighting, the average person would look at that like you're nuts. Why are you're bleeding profusely. You look at Badu Jack versus Marcus Brown, nasty cut on the forehead, losing so much blood. So we know boxing is a brutal sport. People are looking at this Wilder and they're making this big to-do about Wilder wanting to avenge against a guy he thinks cheated him, and previously he had knocked out and knocked unconscious. So to me, it's not even as big of a deal as people are making it out to be. This is boxing. This which should be celebrated. If you're cleared by the medical staff and doctors, you're supposed to want revenge. You're supposed to want retaliation. You're supposed to want to show as a competitor, this is who you are. And for whatever reason, Deontay Wilder gets this next level hate, and it's very strange to me. It's very strange to me. For example, when Kovalev lost to Andre Ward, he signed up for the rematch. And then some people even said Andre Ward lost that fight. Andre Ward got dropped in the fight, but he signed up for a rematch. That's what you're supposed to do. 2 competitors, good fight, close fight. You know, all the judges had it close. Some of the fans felt it could have been went the other way. Andre Ward and Kovalev being true competitors, they said run it back, you know, or even more similar since Wilder was stopped in his last fight. Isaac Dogboe. Isaac Dogboe got stopped by Navarrete. What happened? He fought Navarrete again, right? It doesn't matter if he got stopped again. Like, nobody made a big deal. Nobody tried to stop him. Nobody said Isaac Dogboe should take a tune-up. And this is the stuff that we're hearing for Wilder. This is boxing, right? You seen Francisco Vargas. He lost to Miguel Berchelt. Guess what? They had a rematch. Even though he got stopped, he wanted to prove he was better, and he came up short in the second fight. So to me, this is just everyday stuff in boxing. And, you know, I like Wilder's chances, to be honest, People feel however they want to feel, but I can't wait for the night of July 24th. It's going to be super lit. You know, Paulie Malignaggi saying that he sees Fury winning. We'll see. This is also the same man that said, last time I checked, all the dominant fighters are white and European, Eastern European. And since he made that statement, you know how many people that were European or Eastern European has lost or white? Josh Kelly, right? Josh Warrington, they lost back-to-back weeks. Caleb Smith got bludgeoned by Canelo. Billy Joe Saunders just got his eye shattered to death by Canelo. You have Brandon Adams fought Boachunk. He was a knockout artist who was favored, and Brandon Adams came back down to that weight. Brandon Adams stopped him. He stopped the knockout artist. Charlo fought Derevyanchenko after his best performance with Golovkin, where he really should have won, and Charlo had his eyes looking crazy, right? Kell Brook, you know, is another European fighter. Well, I'm not going to even use him because Paulie's comment says European, Eastern European, namely Caucasian fighters. But look at Lomachenko. He lost to Teofimo, et cetera, et cetera. We could do this all day. Jaron Boots Ennis destroyed Sergey Lipinets from the Ukraine, right? So Paulie, you know, he's not 100% foolproof. So we'll see. You know, Joshua Fury, I'm not thinking about that because Wilder, I think, will play spoiler. You guys can think whatever you want. Leave your comments in the comment section, but I think people are just making such a big deal. This Wilder's doing, it should be praised, bro. It's just that simple. The man has heart and he wants to run it back. Like, who likes to get beat? Who likes to, especially if you feel someone cheated you? So I don't understand this big hoopla about Wilder fighting Fury like he's Thanos and he's unbeatable or something. I really don't understand that. So Wilder, he's making adjustments with his team. He had to separate some people from the team. He's working on new things. And, you know, at the end of the day, why would Wilder have expected Fury? He just said he was pillow-fisted, and then Fury fought a defensive fight the whole first fight and was barely even throwing punches, especially in the first 4 or 5 rounds. And then he comes out like he's Gennady Golovkin in the second fight. Something is definitely off with that picture. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I can't wait for this fight. Let me know how it plays out. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing out. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TUBEBUDDY. I've used TUBEBUDDY for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TUBEBUDDY is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TUBEBUDDY and level up your channel faster. We working.